Good afternoon, my friends. This is Paul, and today we're going to do another unnecessary video about what Myers-Briggs type I could be. It seems like the ENFP one was really well received, and most of you were like, yeah, no, you're definitely not an ENFP. So I thought, let's do a follow-up to that. Let's look at academic sources, meaning .gov, peer-reviewed, etc., that talk about the ISTJ personality type and see if I was correct in my original 2015 assessment or if I'm dead wrong and maybe I'm another type altogether. Again, just like last time, I didn't look through these too much in advance. I just found the articles and I'm going to read this to you more or less as we go along, just to play devil's advocate in case I am a perceiving type that doesn't like things predetermined. And also, I did get a little bit of a chance to look at the Simply Psychology link because I did a previous take on this and that failed, and I wanted to start from scratch after failing that take. So it did say fact checked. Also, I only found 2 sources as opposed to 4. I don't know, maybe because people have more to say about the ENFP because they're extroverts. Either way, let's see where this takes us. So we'll start with the Simply Psychology link, which like last time, sometimes their grammar is really weird and sometimes they'll like randomly switch types, so hopefully that won't throw me off too much. So this one says it was fact-checked by Saul McLeod, PhD. For some reason it all of a sudden says INTJ at the start, so I'm just going to ignore that part because it talks about being strategic and innovative, which I'm pretty sure they would never say about an actual ISTJ. People with this personality type tend to be serious, matter-of-fact, and reserved. I would say I joke around quite a lot, so I think maybe I've learned not to be as serious. I think people might think I'm more serious than jokestery, but generally speaking, I do prefer like getting it done and doing what's necessary as opposed to doing what's fun. Matter of fact, probably, and reserved. Depends on who you ask. I think some people would probably say I'm reserved emotionally and that I'm not always this boisterous spirit unless I'm on the mission trip. But I guess I could say that. They appreciate order and organization and pay a great deal of attention to detail. I do really like being organized and orderly, but not necessarily environmentally. I think my room probably looks like a bunch of chaos and messiness to the average person, but to me, everything is in its place. I always have my phone in this place. I always have my picture of my grandparents in the background at a certain place. And so I like things to be in a general vicinity of a certain... Okay, I'm starting to talk too much of aesthetics. Let's move on. But yes, I do really like attention to detail. They like to plan things out in advance. Yes, very much so. And place an emphasis on tradition and law. Personal tradition, not so much societal tradition. I think it depends on if the catechism allows it or if it's just like, oh, we've celebrated Halloween for so long, we've forgotten why we celebrate it. I'm not so much about that. Law, oh my gosh. Earlier today, my sister's boyfriend was taking us to church, and my sister kept saying, like, you're disobeying the rules of the road, and I was chiming in with her and just saying, like, doesn't it say in the Bible to respect all lawful authority? So yes, I am very much a stickler for laws. ISTJs are responsible and realistic. Yes, so responsible that I even told myself off to my boss before she could tell me off for improper conduct, and can be described as dependable and trustworthy. What? Okay, it's asking me to pat myself on the back here, so I'll let you guys decide on that one so that I don't come across as bragging. I think I'm dependable and trustworthy. Strengths. Productive. Yeah, I would say so. If I have a job that needs to be done, I typically get it done in a pretty timely fashion. Well organized. Yeah, pretty much. Logical. Depends on your definition, but I would say I'm pretty logical, sometimes to a fault. Honest. Too honest. I always tell the truth, even if it hurts. Weaknesses. Rigid. Probably. I think I'm a lot less rigid than I used to be, but I definitely was very much the type that would always have to sit in the same chair. I'd always have to eat at the same time and do everything in a certain order. And I definitely do get thrown off if people try to like go against our established order. So I guess I could say that. Judgmental. I guess I probably come across as judgmental to the wrong types because I know I insist on not being politically incorrect. And so that could probably lead to people thinking I'm homophobic and transphobic, and it's like, that's your perception. But unless you can be objective, I don't want to hear it. So I'll give them that. Insensitive, yes, but probably not as much as most ISTJs because I am Catholic. And so a certain part of me wants to try to be sensitive. It just doesn't always come naturally because most people don't spell out what it is that they're feeling. They kind of just expect you to intuit and feel the vibes, and that's just not me. Stubborn. Probably. I think I can be pretty stubborn. Not as stubborn as most ISTJs, though, because again, I want to respect my faith, and so if the faith allows for speculation on something, then I might say, well, the church allows you to have an opinion, so I'll go with it. But if the church says, no, this is what is the truth, then I'd be like, there's no room for debate here. Key ISTJ characteristics. ISTJs are, they're repeating themselves here, but we'll do it again. ISTJs are orderly. They like to carefully plan things out in advance and pay a lot of attention to detail, structure, and rules. Yes, all true. I do like planning things in advance. Not much for spontaneity unless I can set aside time in my day for it. ISTJs can be unyielding in their desire to maintain tradition and establish structure. Yes. But again, not societal tradition. I only like tradition that I have personally enjoyed. So I might like the tradition of the mission trip, the tradition of having a phone call with a friend once a month, the tradition of always going swimming, or at least trying to if the pool is open. Unclear guidelines and lack of order are rarely tolerated by ISTJs. Very, very, very true, because I'm always saying, can you please clarify? This doesn't make sense. What do you mean by that? And so I always ask people, especially my boss, to like explain everything overly detailed. ISTJs are responsible and loyal. Loyal to a fault. Like, my gosh, it took me forever to break up with my ex-girlfriend. Responsible, yes, I do take responsibility for my mistakes. They will always fulfill their promises to the people they've committed to. I would say 99% of the time. Lately, I feel like my memory isn't as good as it used to be. I'm not really sure why. But I would say that the instances where I forget about a commitment is like very, very small, like maybe 1% of the time, and the rest of the time, I'm usually the ones reminding people, hey, we had a deal, don't break your end of the bargain. ISTJs are persistently focused on the tasks at hand and will work efficiently until they have accomplished their goals. Yes, I would say so, yes. Although I do have a pretty good work-life balance, so I wouldn't say I overwork, but I wouldn't say I underwork either. I think I have that even medium where if I need to do something, I will just know how to space out my strengths so that I'll get it done without being too tired most of the time, but again, this is all generalizations. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be like this 100% of the time. ISTJs are practical. Yes, I would say so. They make clear, rational decisions and prioritize efficacy? I don't know what efficacy means. I think that means being efficient. I think I make pretty clear, rational decisions. I can't think of too many off the top of my head, but I generally cringe at the thought of a science of thinking or just my opinion. I feel like opinions should be reserved for mostly fiction or subjective things like favorite color and favorite food, and matters like morality and politics shouldn't be opinions. They should just be, this is the way it is, and this is the most effective. They search for rational explanations to events, yes, and will make decisions based on objective data rather than their personal feelings. Most of the time, yes. There are some times where I think I insert my personal feelings, but again, it's usually in an instance where there is no objective data to insert. Like, there is no objective data to say what is the greatest video game ever. So of course I'm going to put my personal feelings in that instance. But in terms of like what do I believe, I don't typically do a whole lot of this is what I feel is right. Like for example, I'm pro-life, but I don't just believe it because it's this gut feeling of mine. I use a lot of data and evidence to say like, okay, this is when the baby is first a baby and these are the ramifications of an abortion. And so I look into like more objective analysis of why I believe something as opposed to just saying, oh, this is what I feel. They prefer to focus on details rather than abstract information. Oh, too true. I'm terrible with abstract stuff. And they appreciate information that has immediate practical applications. Yes, because I like to be useful more than I like to be supportive. Cognitive functions of an ISTJ. The MBTI suggests that 4 different cognitive functions. I better actually explain this time because there was a little bit of confusion about the way the function stack is laid out during my last conversation. The MBTI suggests that the 4 different cognitive functions, thinking, feeling, intuition, and sensing, form a hierarchy where each function is either directed outwardly, extroverted, or inwardly, introverted. The order of these functions determines one's personality. So they have a little chart here that says MBTI dichotomies, where it has I think that's just for the letters. So we'll ignore that for now. The dominant function is the primary aspect of personality, while the auxiliary and tertiary functions play supportive roles. Okay, let's get into it. Dominant, introverted sensing. ISTJs are focused on the present moment and enjoy taking in information from their current surroundings. I would say I tend to focus more on the present, or the past as opposed to the present, but I am usually very aware of what's going on in the present. I often don't really miss details too much. I'm constantly looking around at all the different details. I've even been doing that during this video, was paying attention to the exact proximity of the webcam and trying to measure the height of my head so that it doesn't go over the camera. So very much a detail-oriented person, so I guess I mostly agree with that. Auxiliary extroverted thinking. ISTJs are logical. They value knowledge and facts with practical applications and enjoy looking for rational explanations for their questions. Yes, very much so. I do love expanding my knowledge and I do love facts. And I do like to be able to do something with what I learn. They base decisions on objective information rather than personal feelings. They're repeating themselves a lot, but at least they're explaining where the function stack comes in, as opposed to just saying this is how they are without having a checklist mentality. Tertiary introverted feeling. As ISTJs make decisions, they will sometimes pay attention to their instincts and internal set of values. Yes, that is very true. I am usually pretty aware of what I'm feeling. But I think what I'm feeling and what I value are 2 separate categories. Because, like, there's emotions. But then values, I guess you could say, is the Catholic Church. But on the other hand, I feel like if you were to ask me, why are you Catholic? I'd go into a long-winded explanation of the manuscripts and cultural accuracy and if the prophets were accurate, and it would be this very long drawn out thing where I'd say it makes sense to be Catholic as opposed to this is what I feel is right. However, they usually make decisions based on logic. I would say so. Inferior, extroverted intuition. While this is the weakest part of the ISTJ personality, this facet appreciates new experiences. Very rarely, but sometimes with my jokes I try to be very original. And I also don't want to have like the same old plot twists in my novels, so I guess. ISTJ hobbies, interests, and careers. ISTJs appreciate concrete factual information and succeed in careers that require structure, order, and accuracy. That does sound very much like my current job as a janitor. Because of this, ISTJs are often found in management, administration, computer programming, law enforcement, and accounting. None of those sound like me. I feel like I'm too much of a simple soul for that. I feel like I'd be terrible at that stuff. Examples of some popular ISTJ careers include bank officers, financial managers, accountants, lawyers, or small business owners. Again, none of those really sound like me, but I also think that I'm in this weird position where I don't really see myself as a career person, more of a successful job that's good enough to pay the bills. So I don't know, maybe career is just used too broadly here. In their free time, ISTJs enjoy participating in more solitary activities, such as computer gaming. It's in the name of my channel. Chess. I do like chess, actually. It's quite fun. Golf. No. But it's their suggestions here. Or watching television. No, but if my sister wants to, I will. ISTJ work environments. Okay, now they specifically said work here, so not necessarily a career. ISTJs are best suited for work environments that have clear and established norms and traditions, just like my job. As a janitor, I have to make sure to follow a checklist and do a certain thing according to protocol. So yes, that makes sense. They thrive in organizations that will value hard work, attention to detail, and adherence to rules and protocols. I literally just said that, so it seems like they've read my mind. They appreciate stable, performance-driven environments, very much so, being a janitor, and want to work in a career with clear lines of responsibility and planning. Not so much a career, but yes. ISTJs will struggle in environments that are noisy and chaotic. I hate it when the gym is crowded, so yes, that is true. ISTJ personality types need structure and predictability, so they are less suited for workplaces that are distracting or unpredictable. That's why I really love being a janitor, because there's hardly ever an off day. They prefer the known, so ambiguity and constant change is unsuitable for an ISTJ. Totally true. I hate ambiguity. I like people to be very clear and precise with their language. I don't like a whole lot of vagueness in definitions unless they specify that it's like a painful memory. Then if they specify I am being vague on purpose because I don't want to reveal my secrets, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's fair. But if they're trying to explain like something that's important for me to know and then they're ambiguous, then I'd be like, that's a contradiction. If you want me to know something, but you're not explaining it clearly, how am I supposed to know something? Like, make up your mind. Don't be a contradictory person. They will best succeed in an environment with distinct responsibilities, my checklist, deadlines by the time my shift ends, and processes, same old cleaning supplies, as the structure provides security and stability. Yes, so far everything is me. ISTJ personal relationships. ISTJs prefer spending time alone or with their small circle of family and friends. Yes, very much so. They can be difficult to get close to. I don't know. I don't relate to that part so much. I guess I can seem like that to someone that I haven't met in an environment that's really suited to my likes. Like, I know I have the hardest time getting along with females on dating sites because I think their priorities are different than mine. But say if I meet someone on mission trip, oh my gosh, that'll be super easy too. And struggle to share their emotions. I've gotten better. And pick up on the emotional needs of others. That is very hard for me to do. I do really try, but it still doesn't always come naturally. However, once they develop a relationship with somebody, they are very loyal, dedicated, and consistent. Yes, to a fault. Tips for interacting with ISTJs. Okay, so in this I'll have to ask if what they're saying is something I would like. Friendships. ISTJs tend to spend time with those who have similar principles and opinions to themselves. I would say so. I mean, I'm okay with hanging out with people that have different religions as long as those people explain their religions and perspectives in a logical, pragmatic form. Like, if they're going to value their religion, I want them to explain their reasonings and come to a conclusion based on evidence they have obtained, as opposed to just saying, this is what I feel, or this is what I've always done, so I've never questioned it. Like, give your reasons, explain yourself. While they are not spontaneous and tend to be serious, yeah, they are loyal, trustworthy, and dependable friends and partners. Yes, very much so. They struggle to express emotions, but they still do experience deep feelings. doubly underline that part because that fits me so much. I do feel like I can express emotion to a decent amount, but it usually has to be in a certain type of setting with a certain type of friend. But yes, my gosh, my personal feelings are pretty darn deep. It's just that most people don't realize what those feelings are unless we're in an atmosphere where I have determined that the person is in a place where they are not going to cause a negative effect. Like, if I share negative feelings with someone, it's usually because I have come to the realization that that person is not going to betray me. It is important to be patient with an ISTJ because once you develop a close relationship, oh gosh, another double underline here, they will stay by your side no matter what and will be truly dedicated to your relationship. If you are one of those people, which I'm guessing you are if you're commenting, it probably means that there is like a 0.00001% chance I would ever door slam you. Like, my gosh. Again, do you know how long it took me to break up with my ex-girlfriend? As a friend or partner of an ISTJ, you can help them pursue their passions or hobbies and engage in activities that they enjoy. Oh gosh, you will see me express my emotions if you play Smash with me. Relationship. Oh, here we go. They appreciate discussing work, life, and current events. Yeah, I would say so. And prefer more responsible, conservative methods of dating rather than blind dates or random hookups. Yes, but I would say conservative only sort of, because I think it's okay if the woman asks out the man or if the woman proposes to the man, but I would also want her to discuss the likely probability of how successful the date could be before they do the asking. Like if a woman asks me, do you want to go out with me? I'd say, what are the odds of breaking up? If the odds are less than 10% of breaking up, then sure, I'll go out with you. So that would be what I'd be looking for. Parenting. Oh gosh. I'm not a parent, so I don't know how much of this is going to be accurate, but let's see if this is something I would want if this hypothetical situation were to happen. As a parent, ISTJs tend to be focused on tradition and rules, probably. I'll just pretend I'm a chaperone in this role because that's like sort of parenting. They do not take their roles as chaperones lightly. They can be strict, strongly principled, and have high standards. Yeah, unfortunately, that is true. I would probably be mistaken as an ESTJ if you were to see me at a conference while talking to the teenagers under my control. They also sometimes struggle with warm emotional support. Probably. However, they treat their children with care and respect and will establish a stable, consistent home environment. Again, not a parent, but I do like to respect the teenagers. I will say, like, okay, if there's something you need, just let me know. I'll be there for you. I'll make sure to explain everything super clearly. So I guess if we're, again, talking about chaperoning, then sure. Fact checking. I already read this in the previous video, so you can go ahead and watch that. But basically, it's confirming that there's a lot of fact checking. So now let's move on to the second and final source of this video. This is from Career Project, which is also a .org. Now this, admittedly, they're classifying that it's a blog, so I don't know if you guys consider that academic or not. So we'll see what it says at the end, but it does say .org, and that's what one of you said is like a sign that it's more academic. So we shall see. ISTJs, or the logisticians, sometimes called the inspector, are practical, careful people who are not afraid of responsibility or hard work. I don't think I like work that's too hard, but yes, that is true. They tend to carry out tasks to a high standard and focus on doing things correctly. Yes, very much so. This indicates that they are a person who is energized by spending time alone. Yes. Who focuses on facts and details. Yes. Who makes decisions based on logic and reasoning. Yes. And who prefers to be planned and organized. Yes. ISTJ traits. ISTJs hold themselves accountable for their failings and expect their own work to be completed to a high standard. Yes, very much so. They also expect the same from others, which can sometimes lead to conflict. Oh gosh. My friends know that if they break a deal or if like they forget about a hangout, I will be pretty darn upset. However, on the whole, ISTJs are reasonable people and are integral to the functioning of society. Yeah, I would say I'm not necessarily a mean person, I just have standards. For an ISTJ, demonstrable evidence is a must. Very much so. ISTJs will take in their surroundings and analyze the situation before taking action. Have you seen the way my eyes move when I'm talking? And will not be easily swayed. All decisions made by ISTJs will be based on facts, pretty much. And these individuals will not let emotions get in the way of a practical solution. Most of the time, yes. They have the nickname the logistician because of their organization skills and their hardworking, pragmatic, and steady nature. Yeah, I would say so. They tend to make schedules and stick to them, often always having a logistical plan. Okay, I thought logistician just meant a super logical person. That seems more like the INTPs, but logistical, okay, yes, I do think I'm a very logistical person. The ISTJ strengths and weaknesses. The evidence gathering facet of the ISTJ personality also makes these individuals incredibly determined, very much so. Once a decision is made, they are unlikely to renege on their obligation to see it through unless compelling evidence is presented to the contrary. Yup. I mean, why do you think I've had my hair long for so long? It's not because it's a fashion statement, it's because it's practical for keeping my ears warm. So that's the main reason. And also just I've had it for so long, I don't really feel like changing. ISTJs are careful and reflective in everything they do. Yep. And they expect the same levels of rigor and meticulousness in others. Yes, I do, very much so. This can lead to personality clashes when they come into contact with people who they disagree with. Oh, I hate disagreements. Or people whose approach to life is less methodical than their own. Since the logistician personality type tends to be intelligent and independent, not independent, but yes, intelligent, they are good candidates for working autonomously. I don't know, I prefer having a boss. This also manifests in the personal lives of ISTJ, who often prefer to tackle problems alone rather than consult with others. I do like to have someone higher up making decisions for me, but I also feel like there are personal reasons that don't have to do with Myers-Briggs that they're not taking into account here. ISTJ cognitive functions. Each of the 16 personality types has 4 cognitive functions as introduced by Carl Jung. These functions are the 2 scales of sensing intuition and thinking feeling, each of which can be expressed both in an extroverted manner, example displayed outwardly, or introverted manner displayed inwardly or internally. The ISTJ has a SITEFINE, meaning introverted sensing, extroverted thinking, introverted feeling, and extroverted intuition cognitive stack. However, they are called the SITE or sight due to their top 2 functions. This cognitive stack means that dominant introverted sensing is what ISTJs naturally use to catalog experiences and information they deem important. Very much so, almost to a fault. In particular, the SI preference allows, it says INFJs all of a sudden, so INFJs! They said it that this is you, so let me know if this applies. Allows INFJs to remember their impressions of the experiences they have had. Well, I must be an INFJ then. Let me know down in the comments if that's what you think. Auxiliary. What? All of a sudden they're switching to introverted. Oh, they just made an error here. They said auxiliary NI, then in parentheses put extroverted thinking. How do you make a mistake like that? Anyway, extroverted thinking is the primary way ISTJs interact with the world around them. This makes them love efficiency and getting things done. Yes, I do like to have every 3 days having a YouTube project done. Yes, and I do like being able to say I've completed my work tasks when I'm at my job, meaning they can enjoy a bit of healthy competition when they feel like they have a chance at winning. Very rarely do I like competition, but it is nice every now and then to meet someone who's actually competent as opposed to someone who's a total wimp. Like when I play Smash, I don't want to play against someone who's super competitive, but I want to play with someone who's like not just flailing around and pressing buttons so that I can like feel like I'm having an actual challenge. Tertiary, introverted feeling means that ISTJs are sensitive to the feelings of others. I feel like they accidentally put the INFJ description here, but I would like to think I'm pretty sensitive to the feelings of others, but like in a very limited capacity. ISTJs use this preference to assess situations and see how things match up to their values and beliefs so they can act accordingly. I guess, assuming I even have values and beliefs. Inferior, TI, oh gosh. In parentheses, extroverted intuition is the ISTJ's last cognitive functions, which means it is not as strong as the others. This function means that the ISTJ sometimes craves new experiences and ideas, but only, and they have an exclamation mark here, only for a short period of time. Yes, that is true. ISTJ and work careers. ISTJ personality types are best suited for roles in which they are responsible for their own methods and techniques in finding solutions to problems and are expected to implement codes of practice. That's a long sentence, but I would say I prefer going by what my boss says. Similarly, any career in which ISTJs are given autonomy or gather empirical evidence will suit them. I think they're talking about, again, careers as opposed to just working, so that probably doesn't fit me. Careers as a loan officer, research technician, or computer program fit the personality trait. They said ITSJ. Oh gosh. Do these academic sources just not know how to spell? Like, let me know that down in the comments too. Given their nickname, logisticians, any career in which an individual is expected to make decisions without access to the necessary information will cause problems for an ISTJ. Yes. An example is a social worker who must make judgment calls based on information that is often limited or easily misinterpreted. I would hate being a social worker. Famous ISTJs. I don't want to hear that because I don't know any of these people and all of them are dead. ISTJ hobbies. Organizing their spaces for fun. Not really, but I do like organizing things within my video games. Relaxing by nature walks through familiar paths. I do like a good nature walk. Solo sports, golf, swimming, and jogging. I do like swimming and the occasional jogging. Not so much sports. I don't know, maybe if I was like at a bowling alley, I guess I'd be okay with it. Learning how to cook different recipes. No. Reading the newspaper, keeping up with news. No, because the newspaper is often biased, and I want the facts. ISTJ quotes, "It is good to test yourself and develop your talents and ambitions as fully as you can and achieve greater success. But I think success is the feeling you get from a job well done, and the key thing is to do the work." Yeah, I don't see success as a long-term thing. I do think of it as more of a personal one-and-done type of deal. That was Peter Thiel said that. Queen Elizabeth II says, "It's all to do with the training. You can do a lot if you're properly prepared." Yep. Jackie Joyner Kersey says, "It's better to look ahead and prepare than to look back and regret." Yes. Augustus says, "We must plan for our lasting preservation rather than for our temporary pleasure." Yes. Warren Buffett says, "There is no formula to figure in apostrophes value out. You have to know the business and the company." That's too grammatically incorrect. I'm not going to bother. ISTJ A versus ISTJ T. Those who score as an ISTJ will sit somewhere on the identity scale ranging from assertive to turbulent. You didn't even say what it means. I think I'm an ISTJ A more than turbulent because, I have a YouTube channel and I don't just let people walk all over me. I will say, no, I'm going to stand up for myself. So that's all that I have. Hope you guys found that to be informative, and hopefully it'll allow my channel to be more like back to the way it was without people questioning my judgment back in 2015. Let me know what you think. Do you think the sources were accurate, or do you think they're total baloney? Either way, let me know in the comment section regardless, because I don't really like it when people just leave a like and call it a day. I like it when if they're going to leave a like, that they explain themselves and say why they liked it so that I can improve. And if they put a dislike, say, This is what I think your video could have done better. So special thank you to my patrons Matthew Rakowski, Splatcat, and Spoon Ghost. You guys are really helping with my budgeting. And until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!